Welcome to The Explainer. So, pureed meals. They're supposed to be the solution, right? A way to keep someone safe. But what happens when that very food, the thing that's meant to help, causes gagging and panic and turns every single mealtime into a massive struggle? Well, today we are diving deep into this really stressful problem.
Does this sound familiar? I bet it does. It's a line I hear from caregivers all the time, and you can just feel the frustration in it. You know the food is perfectly fine. It's safe. But the person you're caring for has this instant physical reaction. It is absolutely exhausting, and it really gets to the heart of what we're going to unpack today.
And that's the real paradox here, isn't it? This food is literally a safety precaution, something prescribed to prevent choking. But for the person trying to eat it, that texture can feel so incredibly overwhelming, so threatening, that mealtime just becomes this huge battle. For them, it feels anything but safe.
Okay, let's get into the why behind this, because this is where everything can start to change for you. This reaction, it is not a choice. It's not someone being stubborn or trying to be difficult. It is a genuine physiological response that's happening in the brain. It's called sensory defensiveness.
So what exactly is sensory defensiveness? Well, think of it like this. It's when the brain misreads a sensory signal, in this case the texture of puree, and flags it as a threat. It basically shouts danger and hits the emergency button, which is the gag reflex, to get that threat out. It's kind of like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you make toast. The system is just a bit too sensitive. And this isn't something they can control. It's an involuntary neurological thing that's really common in conditions like dementia, Parkinson's, and stroke recovery.
So what's causing this faulty alarm system? Well, it could be a bunch of things. Maybe their oral motor coordination is off. That's just a fancy way of saying the muscles in their mouth and tongue aren't working together smoothly. Or their sense of touch in their mouth has become super sensitive, so everything feels way more intense. Sometimes, if taste and smell are weaker, texture becomes the only thing the brain can focus on, and it gets totally overwhelmed. It's a complex puzzle with real physical pieces.
Okay, so we get the why now. How in the world do we start to fix it? Well, the first step isn't about adding new things. It's about becoming a detective. We need to do some investigating and find out what, if anything, is actually tolerated right now. We have to find our starting point. And this right here is your detective toolkit. Instead of just guessing, you're going to observe and take notes. Do they seem to handle cool applesauce better than, say, warm mashed potatoes? Is a sweet flavor more calming than a savory one? Look, the goal here isn't to find the perfect 5-course meal. We are just looking for one single, reliable food that causes the least amount of trouble. That's it. That's our baseline.
And this is the golden rule for this whole entire process. If you offer something and it causes gagging, that is not a failure. It's just information. It's a clue that tells you the sensory leap was just too big. And the answer is always, always to just take a step back and start with something even smaller, even smoother, even more familiar.
All right, now we can talk about our main strategy, something I like to call the gentle ladder method. And I just love this metaphor because it's exactly what we're doing. We're building tolerance by helping them climb a sensory ladder, one tiny, super manageable step at a time. So here's how it works. You take that baseline food you found. Let's say it's a smooth yogurt they like. Then you add a micro amount, and I mean a truly tiny, almost invisible speck, of something just a little bit thicker. You mix it in completely so the change is barely detectable. The whole point is for their brain to not even register it as a threat. This is how you slowly, gently teach the body and the brain, see, this is okay, you got this. But, of course, the million-dollar question is, what happens if you do this and they still refuse? You know, they clamp their mouth shut, they turn their head away. Does that mean the whole thing's a failure?
No, absolutely not. It's so important to remember this. All it means is you just need to back up one step on that ladder. The change was a little too much, a little too soon. The goal is to find what we call a just right challenge, something that's a tiny bit new and unfamiliar, but not so different that it feels scary. It's just a process of fine-tuning, not a test you can pass or fail.
Now, the success of this whole ladder method really hangs on one thing that's even more important than the food itself, and that's trust. See, to calm down a defensive nervous system, you have to create an environment that feels safe and predictable. When the brain is on high alert, any surprise feels like danger. So by making every single action slow, clear, and expected, you help lower that alert level. Predictability, that becomes your superpower.
And this chart just lays it out so clearly. Every time you show the spoon before it gets to their mouth, move slowly and respect their signal to stop, you're building trust.
You're sending a message of safety. On the flip side, forcing a bite or trying to sneak in food, that does the exact opposite. It just confirms the brain's fear that something bad is about to happen. Another fantastic way to build that trust is with positive reinforcement. So when they do take a successful bite of that new, slightly thicker texture, you immediately follow it up with something they actually love. It could be some warm praise, a small sip of their favorite drink, or even a little bite of their original, fully preferred food. This helps the brain start to rewrite the story from texture equals fear to texture equals a reward.
Okay, this is so important. We need to talk about what success actually looks like in this journey. Because it is almost never a sudden, magical moment where they start eating all pureed foods with no problem. We absolutely have to redefine what a win is.
Progress isn't the total elimination of gagging, it's gagging on fewer bites. It's accepting 2 or 3 textures instead of only 1. It's seeing the muscles in their jaw and shoulders relax just a little bit. It's a calmer look on their face. These small wins, they are huge progress. And celebrating them is what's going to keep both of you going.
And please, I'm begging you, be patient with the timeline. This process can take anywhere from a few weeks to over a year. It really depends on so many things. The goal is not speed. Slow, steady, predictable progress. That's what prevents you from sliding backward and having to start all over again.
If you take only one single thing away from our chat today, please let it be this. When they push that spoon away, when their lips tighten up, when they turn their head, that is not defiance. It is not misbehavior. It is communication. They are telling you, with their body, this is too much for my brain right now. And our only job is to listen.
So it really all comes down to this. First, reframe the problem. It's a sensory issue, not a behavior issue. Second, be a detective. Find that one safe food to anchor everything to. And third, build trust by climbing that gentle ladder using predictability as your most powerful tool. When we embrace these ideas, we can really start to answer this question. We can actually transform mealtime from a struggle for survival into a chance for calm, dignity, and maybe, just maybe, a moment of real connection.